What it do? Welcome to the JBOYKS Sports Podcast. Please like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy the content. If you don't love the content, you can still do those things because you could always help a brother out, and you know a brother would always help you out. Make sure that you hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our glorious content. Hang on towards the end so you can catch some of our other suggested videos that we know you'll love. And also, you really want to make sure that you comment because I definitely will reply. I promise you. Ball is life. You know how we get down in the comments section. This is a full slated show. We got a lot going on here today. We got a lot of different topics that we want to touch. We got basketball, we got football, some of the craziest sports news from around the diaspora. Is that how they call it? Diaspora? Is that what they... I'm trying to use a new word there. I think that's right. That's another way for saying world, I believe. But let's jump right into... And if I'm wrong, I gotta... In fact, you know what? Let me not mess this up. Let me make sure I get it right. Is diaspora another word for earth?
No, sport.
No. Is diaspora another word for earth? Oh, yeah. Technically, yeah. So diaspora, it says it involves people being scattered across the globe, and it refers to the dispersed people themselves, not necessarily the planet, though. So... kind of what I was looking for there. I don't know if I used it right. Got to take chances in life, right? That's how it goes. Jumping right into this now, not taking any more time to waste. The first story we're going to talk about here is Kobe Bryant, Phil Jackson, and Michael Jordan. Now, unfortunately, one of the things that tends to happen specifically to Kobe, but also people try to do it to Mike, is just the constant trying to knock off his career and act like it never existed. Kobe passed away, and it looks like everybody has tried to go open season on him, make people forget about his greatness, and many a times, people like myself have had to check them back into reality. Maybe gone, but never forgotten, right? Well, I just saw something the other day, and I'll read it to you here. You see the graphic. It says, Kobe's the only one to have done the work, to deserve, man, I'm going to start over. Kobe's the only one to have done the work to deserve comparison. This is what Phil Jackson said about, this is what Michael Jordan revealed to him about Kobe Bryant. And then there's another little section here that you don't see on your screen, but it says, Phil Jackson revealed a moment of pure respect between two of basketball's greatest. When asked about Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan told him, Kobe's the only one to have done the work to deserve comparison. Think about that for a second, right? MJ, a player synonymous with perfection and relentless drive, publicly acknowledging someone else as the only player who matched his level of work ethic is nothing short of monumental. It highlights the shared mentality, dedication, and obsession with greatness that Kobe Bryant carried throughout his career. From relentless practice sessions to clutch performances on the biggest stages, Kobe Bryant earned every bit of that respect. MJ's acknowledgement isn't just praise, it is a legacy passed on. Two of the game's most iconic figures connected not just by talent, but by an unwavering commitment to excellence. It's a reminder that greatness isn't just about stats or rings. It's about the grind, the consistency, and the heart you put in every day. That's what sets legends apart. And I couldn't be more in alignment with that statement. So this is really what it comes down to, guys. I don't talk about the Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, and LeBron James comparisons every day, but just to make sure we're very clear, if you're new to this channel, and those of you that have been on it, you know how I stand or where I stand. There is no comparison with LeBron James to those guys. I don't even put LeBron James in the top 5 of people that I would compare to them, if I'm being honest. And the reason being is some of the words that's in here. Michael Jordan said this about Kobe Bryant, and he also once said, he's cursed like I am. And what does that curse mean? The striving to be great and to be the greatest and to be unbeatable, right? There's not a lot of people that have that level of drive. There's no shortcuts to getting there. You see people trying to start YouTube channels every day. I'm on a YouTube channel right now. Has my YouTube channel really blown up like that? Absolutely not. But should I quit? Absolutely not. I haven't even been doing this a year yet. So who knows what'll happen eventually. Maybe I need to be better. Maybe I just need to get it to the right people. Who knows? But the grind, right? Now, if I just paid somebody to get all my subscribers for me and to do all the work for me, and I didn't do any of it, I didn't have to think an ounce. Am I really that same beast that the Michael Jordan and the Kobe Bryants were? No. So when people try to compare somebody like LeBron to them, or KD, or, most of these guys now, you try to compare them to them, there's no real comparison, in my opinion. Even Steph Curry, as good as I think he's been, I still don't think you can fairly compare him to Michael and Kobe, because there's been some shortcuts that he's been able to take, whether it was by him doing it or somebody else. More so, it seems like somebody else, but he was compliant in it when KD ran over there. Stuff like that, that's not what builds your legacy. It hurts your legacy because it doesn't look like you want to work hard. It's not the same thing. Now, Steph vindicated himself because he won 2 on the strength of his own back. But people, that's what they want to see, with that quest for perfection, not giving up, relentless. And that's not what a lot of these players are now, unfortunately, although I think some of them are coming back. I do think the Shai Gilgeous-Alexanders, the Tyrese Halliburtons, I think people like that are fighting to change the narratives and become tough, hard players. Halliburton tore his Achilles trying to give it everything he had in quest of a dream. Started off real well, too, in the game. So these are guys that I'm coming to respect. But there's a whole generation of people that just wanted to take shortcuts, and they don't really have my respect like that. And apparently, they don't actually have Michael Jordan's respect either. He may say it, may talk a good game, but ultimately, when you listen to him talk on his documentary and just listen to him talk in general, and when you listen to Kobe Bryant talk, they may say things like, I like this guy is a friend of mine, been a friend, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But the competitor deep inside of them knows, you couldn't hold a candle to me. You're not me. You weren't willing to die. I was willing to die for this. Everything I had, I was going to put into it. You don't want that. You want shortcuts. And so I figured I'd just share this with you guys to remind you, even Michael Jackson and Phil Jackson know this. There's only 2 guys that really walk the walk and talk the talk every day. There's only 2. Now, there's some other really good ones, but there's only 2. And as far as comparing LeBron to these 2 guys, absolutely not. Can't do it. And speaking of LeBron James is now back in the news because he's doing the same ridiculous things that he's always done. And now he's back with another dose of ridiculousness because he can't freaking help himself. And recently, what he did is he's saying that he's going to be out until November. At least mid-November. Some people are saying December, but it seems like he might be out that long. We don't really know for sure. It could just be rumors. People could just be saying certain things. But there are reports, like you see in this graphic, where it's saying that an NBA executive is saying that he wouldn't be surprised if LeBron James is out until December. But why would LeBron James be out until December? Right? Luka Doncic is back healthy, looking as in shape as he's looked in a long time, since like his rookie year. The Lakers have some pieces around him. They got Austin Reeves, who realistically could be an all-star, maybe even this year, depending upon how much Daddy Bron lets him play. But we're already seeing signs of LeBron James creating drama. And some people might say, oh, you're nitpicking on him, blah, 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 blah. Maybe. He's 40 years old. You can't, he's got to rest. He's got to get his body right. Maybe. Maybe. My theory on that is if you really can't give it everything that you want to give it, then you need to retire. That's how I feel personally, but I don't make all the rules, right? I don't make all the rules. But I just think it's crazy how, there's always something with this guy, man. I thought he wasn't feeling well at the end of last season. So why is it taking you all the way up until this season to really get yourself together, get yourself straight? And in my opinion, I don't think that is what it is. I think he does not like the situation he's currently in. I think that he once had a lot of power, and now he's seeing less power be in his hands. His destiny is less in his hands than it's ever been. And while he won't say it out loud, I think there's a part of him that's panicking. him and his crew behind closed doors, I personally think they're panicking. Because, you know, you're sitting up here, now sitting out, for what real reason? And I really think it's because he's trying to plot out his next move. And then you got to remember, he's not just thinking about himself. Bronny James is supposed to be on this team for the next, 3-4 years? That $8 million contract? And Bronny has not gotten no better. He's cheeks. He's cheekbones. There are no bones in your cheeks. Well, in your top cheeks. But in your butt cheeks, there's no bones, man. And Bronny James is butt cheeks with and without the bone, if there ever was a bone. He's terrible. And there's a lot of people that still try to protect him because, you know, LeBron James is their secret daddy or some weird stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you got to call a spade and be realistic with it, man. Bronny James should have never been in the league. Not yet, at least. Could he have been one day? Potentially. He's got crazy athleticism. That's impressive. Seems like a nice kid. Seems to know how to answer questions. Seems to know how to fit the mold and play the game and understand the script. But ultimately, you can't fake competitive sports. If people are out there trying to compete to win, you're going to get exposed if you are not that guy, pal. If you're not that guy, pal. And that's what happened to LeBron James here. Overhyped himself, overhyped his son, misreading of the situation, and now it's coming back to bite him, and he doesn't know what to do. The Lakers decided to sell. He probably had Genie Bus wrapped around his finger, and he thought everything was cool. Everything was going to be good. No worries. Smooth sailing. And then she sold the Lakers to the same people I think that own the Dodgers and some other teams. And Magic Johnson is a part of that crew. So, and they seem to be done with LeBron James and his antics. And now LeBron's frantic. Because I did a video a couple days ago, if you look on my channel, about he wanted an extension. And they said, nah, we're not doing that. We're not giving you one of those, big guy. So now that he sees the writing on the wall and that his days could be numbered, I really think LeBron James is panicking. I think he's panicking. He's very scared. He's not saying nothing. You're not hearing too much from his people at the moment because I really don't think they have the answers. They're trying to figure out if we should go left, if we should go right, if we should pivot into the sky or go underground. We don't know. They don't know. They don't freaking know. So, you know, they got to figure that out. And I believe that's what the time is being taken for. But worst case scenario with this, LeBron sits out and the team excels. If LeBron sits out and the team excels, well, I don't know if that's the worst case scenario because knowing him, he may come back thinking, okay, well, if I fit in and do this, I can win a championship. I can ride the backs of Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves and these other people. So that may be the case, but also if they're playing really good without him, it also may make him look worse. Like he was the problem. So LeBron's in a tough spot. He knows it. Rich Paul knows it. Mav Carter knows it. Savannah James knows it. Rick James knows it. And he's no longer living. All right? Give it to me, baby. My he's at a crossroads. So we'll see what happens with that. We'll keep an eye on it. I bet you he won't be quiet, though. He going to be out till November, December. He gonna find a way to get into the news some way, somehow. Some way, somehow. I guarantee it. So, LeBron James, we'll see you later, alligator, I guess. That's what we'll do. LeBron James is also supposedly monitoring the Lakers situation. And my thoughts on that are, how dare you, man? Nobody asked for this. Who asked for this? Did any of you ask for this? This idea that he gets to monitor the Lakers situation and see what they do and how they go is disgusting to me. And it's exactly why none of us can wait until he's gone. You understand? He's got to go. He's got to go. Nobody feels like sitting there and playing games and watching him all the time just play around in a circle. And he's trying to decide, and this goes towards what I was just saying. He's trying to decide realistically if I should stay, if I should go. And how will I leave? And I really think he wants to leave, unless the team shows a lot of promise and they're winning a lot of games and he really believes he has a chance to win. Minus that, I think he's really trying to get out of here. You know what I mean? I think he's really trying to get out of here. And if you really look at what he's trying to do, it just seems like he's trying to play games. And that's why we want him gone. That's why we want him gone. That's why we want him hasta la vista, baby, right out of Los Angeles, because everybody's tired, man. I'm tired of you. I'm tired of trying to act like your son is good. And I don't even dislike Bronny James. Again, I think he's a good kid. I think he went through a somewhat traumatic experience, if it's the exact same way they're telling us, and no fibs included. And I actually think that with the right training, maybe he could have done maybe a little something, but the truth is, probably not. He's like 6'1", which means he's like regular people height. He is a crazy freak athlete. You give him that. But that's not everything, man. You got to be bigger. You got to know the game. He can't bring the ball up. I watched him the other day. You know, they're trapping him. He's throwing the ball away. It looks like he looks like the kid you pick on in rec, if I'm being honest with you. Or if there was a girl on a team that wasn't that good on the other team, I don't want to be sexist, but it is what it is. We all did this. If you played rec basketball when you were a kid, there was a couple kids that could, it might have been the whole team. There might have been a couple teams where they didn't have a person that could handle the ball. So what do? Oh, you know what you do. You trap them and you steal the ball from that kid 78 times and you blow them out by 50. That's what you do. That's what you do. And also, if there's and I hate to say it might sound sexist, but if there's a girl on the team who's not that good either, you do the same thing to her, trapping her every time she touches the ball. And it is what it is. You either get better or you don't. It's competitive sports. Anybody that steps on the court, you got to get better. And Bronny James is no different. He really can't shoot threes. He's not handling the rock good enough to bring it up the court. You know, he's athletic, but what is that? I mean, he's still getting cooked on defense. He doesn't use it to be a great defender. So thus, LeBron James has to monitor the situation. It's not just him now. Now he's got to worry about the legacy of his son. And the legacy of his son failing horribly this quickly looks bad on him. But he can't mess up his legacy, right? But again, when people tell me LeBron is so smart, he's a genius, he knows everything. Oh, really? Did he see this coming? Y'all think he saw this coming? Or was he just so arrogant that he was like, it'll definitely work out because I'm LeBron James? People look at me when I say this, and I've said it a million times. I'm not saying he's a bad father, but this was a bad move on his part. Very bad move. He seems like a good father, especially if you're comparing him to Brother Wade, some of the stuff going on over there. You know, LeBron's kids got girlfriends, so that's what the boys do. So that's a good start. But outside of that, I mean, this is a bad move in my opinion, and it's gonna come back to bite him because now he can't even make some of the moves that he wants to make because he's stuck trying to figure this out. Right? I can't just leave my son there because they're gonna cut him and I'm gonna look stupid. You already look stupid because the real Laker fans were sitting there like, "What is this? A charity? When did we become a charity organization? When did we turn into the Church of Latter-day Saints or something like that, where we're doing food kitchens and passing out turkeys on Thanksgiving and Christmas presents? When did we become that? I thought we were a competitive sports team. Do whatever it takes to win. And that's why, again, Laker fans want him gone. So, LeBron, you keep monitoring the Lakers situation. I hope it doesn't work out the way that you want it to. And I hope that we hit you with the door where the good, and where the good hit you where the good Lord split you. That's the expression, right? Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. I want the door to hit you directly where the good Lord split you. directly. I want you to feel it on the way out. Pause. No Diddy, because that was a little diabolical. But we're done with you here in LA, my boy. And so you can monitor all the situations you want, just as long as you monitor your behind away from us, back to Cleveland, wherever else you want to go. Nobody cares. All right? And we got to do, I know it's been LeBron. One more LeBron topic that I just want to remind you guys of. Okay? And it's like LeBron beat down today. But I just got to do it. All right? And the truth is, LeBron James is still the most disliked athlete, most hated. He's still the most disliked athlete in the world. And in my opinion, I was talking to some people the other day. He's still got a lot of sympathizers, people that just never want to speak against him because he's like their dad or something like that. People that will glaze this man to the supreme heavens, right? Just glaze him into out of existence. But at a certain point, you got to be realistic with yourself. And the reason why he's the most hated is because he does it to himself. But don't take my word for it. Let's listen to some of the most hated people in sports, across all genres of sports. Let's listen to a list of who these people are and why LeBron is on there.
Guess the top 10 most hated athletes right now.
Right now.
Today, Junior.
Who I hate?
Who?
Freddie Freeman.
No, it's not your personal list.
Okay.
It's just general consensus.
Do people like Shohei Ohtani?
Yes, people like Shohei. There's one on your team, though.
There's one on my team. Juan Soto.
People hate Juan Soto.
That's so stupid.
He's number 9.
People hate Patrick Mahomes.
People do hate Patrick Mahomes. He's number 8, right in front of Juan Soto.
I like staying in football now.
I like staying on the same team.
Travis Kelce.
People hate Travis Kelce.
Why? Because he's dating Taylor Swift?
Probably. He's number 2.
Really?
Damn. I don't hate him. Seems like a good guy. There's another football player. He's hated for a totally different reason.
Oh, Deshaun Watson.
Deshaun Watson is number 3 on the list.
Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers is number 6. Bang. No more football players.
Okay, but we could move over to the NBA.
You can.
LeBron James.
He's the number 1 most hated athlete in the world right now. 2 more basketball players.
2 more basketball players.
One, we've actually met, and he's a very nice guy.
On the Warriors, Draymond Green.
Draymond Green's number 5. I like Draymond. Nice guy. That's fair. 1 more basketball player. Initials are DB.
Dylan Brooks.
Dylan Brooks is number 7. 1 baseball, 1 soccer.
Soccer player, Cristiano Ronaldo.
Number 10 is Cristiano Ronaldo. Messi's better. People are jealous. And number 4, Yankee fans hate him.
Jose Altuve.
Jose Altuve is number 4.
Oh, you cheating man. What a cheating guy.
So that is a list of some of the most hated people in sports. A few of them are basketball players. The few basketball players that stood out to me were obviously LeBron James at number 1. And then Draymond Green was number 5. And then you had Dylan Brooks was one of the ones they mentioned, and he was number 7. I'm surprised by Patrick Mahomes. I think people just don't like him because he wins. I couldn't stand Tom Brady for the longest time. And now he's one of the people I talk about the most on my channel, specifically when I'm talking about football. Because, I mean, you can't help but respect greatness. And people that want to win and prioritize winning, and it's a major thing to them, you know, that's everything to me. And so I've become a Tom Brady fan in his retirement. But before that, couldn't stand the guy. But LeBron James is number 1. You know, he's number 1. And he's number 1 because he continues to do things that annoy people. As a Laker fan, the Lakers fans are done with him. I never wanted him there to begin with. But then just look at the stories that I ran through already with you today as far as LeBron James. I had 3 in a row of just nonsense. He's out till mid-November, potentially. Why? You had all off season. If you knew you were hurt, why didn't you rehabilitate yourself then? And then he's saying like sciatica or something like that, which I believe works with the nerves. And whatever, man, whatever. And then he's monitoring the Lakers situation. Who are you to monitor the Lakers situation? Read the room, man. You're on social media all the time. You don't pay attention to any of the comments. You don't have anybody that runs through your social media to keep you abreast of new trending things. Newsflash, the Laker fans don't want you here no more. We're done with you. This is Luka Town now. We're done with you. Luka Town and Hillbilly Kobe and Austin Reeves. You're done. We're just waiting for you to exit stage left. Some of us are so annoyed with you that we'd rather not see our team win until you leave. Because we just feel like it'll be defiled by you. That's really what it is. So for you to sit back and monitor the situation, hopefully there's no situation for you to monitor because you no longer have the keys to this car. This Bentley is moving without you. We're done with you. And so I hope LeBron realizes that. He probably won't, though, because of the narcissism and the never being able to read the room. Doesn't understand stuff like that. Can't understand a world where he's not the center of the universe. But you're not. And your legacy and your days are getting more and more numbered. The more ridiculous antics that you have. I did a video last week. He did the decision to sell Hennessy. Nobody cares about this stuff, man. So the more antics you do, the more tired you're making people. People want you to retire. You're making us more tired. So keep monitoring the situation, man. Monitor yourself right out of Los Angeles. That would be excellent. Switching over to football for a little bit. We are going to talk about what Saquon Barkley said about Daniel Jones. And for those of you that don't know Daniel Jones is a quarterback. He used to be the quarterback of the New York Giants. Saquon Barkley was also the running back on that team. He and Daniel Jones sat there for years, just suffering, apparently. To the point where Saquon, who was an MVP candidate last year, who was almost the NFL's rushing leader of all time, who was a generational talent himself, managed to escape New York, come to Philly, and just played lights out. But this is what he said about Daniel Jones, his quarterback at the time on the Giants. You give him an offensive line, and I'm telling you, he's a top quarterback. He has it. So I don't know exactly when Saquon Barkley said this. If he said it any time before this year, people probably looked at him and laughed. But as it currently stands, like Saquon, Daniel Jones has had a resurgence. Last year, I believe the Giants cut him in like the middle of the season or something crazy like that. Pretty embarrassing, honestly. And then he ended up with like the Vikings as a backup. The offseason, he signs with the Indianapolis Colts, who are in the AFC. And nobody's really thinking about it too much. They're like, yeah, whatever. Daniel Jones wasn't that good, blah, blah, blah. This guy's 6'5", 230 pounds, good arm, good speed, everything you need. Turns out the Indianapolis Colts are actually the best team in the league right now, I believe. Them and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're both 5-1, but they're definitely the best team in the AFC. They are 5-1 right now. They are on a roll. Daniel Jones, individually, if you take a look at this man, he is top 3 in completion percentage. He's top 10 in pretty much everything else, whether it's yards, passing average. He's top 10. I mean, the guy, he's balling out right now. He's balling out. He's finding ways to win. The Colts are beating people down. The running game is going over there with Taylor. The Colts are looking good. And this is just the feel-good story of the year. I don't know. I really feel like he should be the comeback player of the year if they maintain this. But Daniel Jones is balling. And it just goes to show you that sometimes it's not who you are. It's what's around you. But a real smart person, even if it is what's around you that's slowing you down, that's keeping you from being the best that you can be, a real smart person also still looks within to look for the growth that they can have within themselves. And then you become double trouble once you get out of that bad situation. Because you fixed every flaw that you had. You worked on every flaw that you had. Even though it wasn't you that was making those flaws stand out. Then you go to the next place and you're taking off. And you're killing it 24/7. And that's what Daniel Jones is doing. That's what Saquon Barkley did last year. You got to prove that it wasn't you, it was them. But also, when it wasn't you, you improved yourself to the point where it's not even a question of how great I am. And so I love to see this. I mean, we've been talking about Baker Mayfield on this channel. Now we're talking about Daniel Jones. Saquon Barkley was a good story last year. It really just goes to show you that in the right situation and with the right mindset, you can overcome dang near anything. And like I always say, sports is a microcosm of life. If you can succeed on the field, on the court, in the pool, in the snow, wherever you're at, on the ice, on a diamond, baseball diamond, wherever you're at, if you can figure out how to succeed and take some of those things that you learned from sports, put them in the real world, you're gonna be hard to beat, man. And it's not just about having talent, right? The top 1%. It's not usually just because of talent. It's mentality. You know, it's the mentality that also makes you part of that top 1%. For more people than not, it's going to be the mentality. Everybody's talented at that level. You know, but it's the mentality. Whatever you're doing in your life, you're trying to get to the top of your field. There's a lot of other talented people at the top of the field at a certain point. What's your mentality like, though? What are you willing to do that other people aren't willing to do to prove that you're the best? So you got to ask yourself that question. You always got to ask yourself that. But Daniel Jones, so far, has answered the call so far this year. He's not taking no for an answer. He's going to be his best self, and for that, we wish him well. And we'll see what happens to the man. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with that. Sticking with football, another thing that I want to discuss, J.J. Watt was recently on the Pat McAfee show, and he was talking about ratings and analytics and things like that being dumb to truly decide the greatness of a player. And I have to say, I 100% agree with him. I'm so sick and tired of people using stats to look over the more important stories within the stories. And before I get fully into it, I'm just going to let him break it down for you because, I mean, the man worded it perfectly. So let's take a listen to what he has to say.
I've had my issues with PFF for a very long time. I was their number one rated player. I had over 100 score while I was playing. They had to change the system. They literally came to me and told me we had to change our system because of how you did it. So this isn't a guy who had bad grades who's disgruntled. I literally was their number one guy, and I still hate it. I have to start with this. PFF has a lot of very beneficial tools. The number one issue with PFF, by far, bar none, hands down, is their player grading system and the fact that they project it everywhere, including nationally televised games on Sunday night where everybody's watching. And they make it underneath the rankings where it states as fact 91st out of 97th defensive tackles, 117 out of 117 offensive guards. That is a completely made up number. I'm getting hot.
Oh, I like that. That's how you summon some change. You gotta get passionate.
Personal stories of Uber drivers telling NFL passengers that they break down film for PFF. And that they watch the TV copy only and put a grade out after the game. You can't watch film on the TV copy and create a grade. You can't break down a person's grade and know what they're supposed to do if you don't know their exact assignment. I know defensive line play unbelievably well. I could not go and grade a game for a player and give him a definitive grade without speaking to him, his coach, the scheme, everything. It's just a fact. PFF has a ton of great stuff. Player grading sucks. Stop putting it out.
Oh yeah!
Attaboy, Change.
This guy broke the system, and now he's raging against it. Game on me, Jage. Any final thoughts here?
I'll hold my tongue.
No, you
They do good stuff. Just stop doing your player grades, man.
Team on three. 1, 2, 3.
Team.
So that is J.J. Watt talking about, they call it the Pro Football Focus, and they basically just do a lot of stats, statistical things. And then they grade players like individually, like this is the 5th best lineman, this is the 800th best lineman, this is the 7th best defensive, the 7th best cornerback in the NFL. Statistically, this is the worst left tackle in the league. Like they do stuff like that. And essentially what he's saying is that's dumb. It's dumb. And the reason that it's dumb is because I broke the system. And at one point, J.J. Watt was amazing. I guess the injuries caught up to him because I feel like his career ended kind of early. I really feel that way. But I guess injuries caught up to him and he just wasn't quite the same player. But at one point, I mean, he was number one in everybody's hearts. He could do no wrong. The only person I've seen spoken of more highly than him in the last like 15 years that I've been watching football is maybe Pat Mahomes, Aaron Donald, maybe Revis at one point, but Randy Moss, obviously, somebody like him, but even Randy caught a lot of slander. So at certain points, he was that good where you just didn't hear a lot of bad things about him at all. People were constantly glazing this man to the high heavens, and it was actually deserved. I mean, he was cooking people with fish grease. I'm not gonna lie. So he's telling you though, like I was at the top of all these bingo cards and whatever the case may be, but this is stupid. And he specifically said because there's things outside of the game that have to be known. When it comes to football, what you have to understand is they're not looking at the same thing that we're looking at. So when you watch the game, right, they don't show you what the players see at all. You know, on a basketball court, it's a little different because I feel like so many of us play basketball that you can kind of figure out what you're looking at and put yourself in their shoes. When it comes to football, it's different. They don't show you everything that you would need to see to truly be able to figure out what happened on that last play. You understand? It's just not the same. And the level of football that these people play at, it's hard to fathom, right? It's hard for a regular person to grasp that. So what he's saying is you're looking at just the statistics, but there's so much more that's needed. You know, he even mentioned like what you see, you can't watch regular games on TV and break down all the film. It doesn't work. In basketball, you could do that. In football, you can't. There's too many things going on. There's too many intricate parts to the sport. You got the offensive line, the defensive line. You got every position does completely something different. Now, you may have some outliers, like in basketball, they say, oh, he can play 1 through 5, he can guard 1 through 5, he can score on anybody, you know, whatever. He can defend anybody. You can say that in basketball, and it's easier to see, but in football, you have different roles. If you're a defensive lineman and you're just an interior defensive lineman, the idea is you try to stop the run and get upfield to get the quarterback. But you are not usually the beneficiary of all the sacks. That's the edge rushers. So you can't just watch film that we watch on TV and say, oh, I know exactly what that lineman was doing. But because you sometimes you can't see the guy on the other side. You can't even see him. They don't even show you the whole field when you're watching football on TV. So how would you know other than what they tell you? Oh, he's rated this. So now you have this horrible idea of this person. And like he said, I can't give somebody a grade without speaking to the player because I need to know what they're thinking. What made you decide to let that wide receiver run free when you were supposed to be the help over the top? And how come in this instance it worked and you were able to get a pick on, you know, a short crossing route, but then somebody else tried to do the same thing a week later and it was a touchdown because they weren't back helping the cornerback? So, like, there's levels to this, man. You know what I mean? You have to be able to talk to the player. You have to talk to the coach. Maybe the scheme that the coach is running is not best for the player. Maybe the coach and the player are seeing two different things, but the player is being forced into a position that they're not comfortable with. Or they're seeing something that the coach is not seeing. And he said, I even need to know the scheme. I believe his name is Jeff Schwartz, because I'm an Eagles fan, right? Jeff Schwartz, who I think was, he was, when we won the Super Bowl with Peterson and Foles came in and finished the season for Wentz, I believe he was our defensive coordinator. I don't know where he is now. I haven't heard that name in a while. But I'm pretty sure the last name was Schwartz and the first name was Jeff. I definitely know the last name was Schwartz or something like that. And he used to use the wide 9 or wide 7 technique, something like that. And basically, the defensive ends would line out wide as heck, and the interior defensive linemen would sometimes cross, or a lot of times they would cross, but they were just supposed to push straight up the middle, right? And that was his scheme. But also, you had to have linebackers that were bigger and stronger because they would have to take on more offensive linemen. So if you didn't, if that scheme and made you do something that maybe you didn't want to do or you didn't feel comfortable with, or to us it looks like, oh, that was a dumb play, he's not playing well. But to them, it's like, I schemed for it to be that way. That's how I wanted the play to go. Like, we have to be able to understand that as fans. And these statistic people, they don't get stuff like that. I feel the same way in basketball when people talk about efficiency as far as like, oh, they shot 4 for 10 or something like that. Listen, man, you may just look at the stats and think you know every freaking thing, but it doesn't work like that. Allen Iverson was never a high percentage field goal shooter, but his attacking and relentless heart broke people down. I want to remind you, Vince Carter nor Tracy McGrady, as good as they were, ever went to the finals that I'm aware of. They're bigger than Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson is maybe 6 feet. Maybe. Those two are like 6'8", 6'9", 6'10" in Tracy McGrady's case, potentially. How did the little man get to the finals and they didn't? Well, maybe because it's more than the numbers. The heart, the tenacity, the fire, the will. I remember him battling against Vince Carter on Toronto, when Vince was on Toronto and Allen Iverson was on the Sixers. The series was tight. Both players were great, but Allen wanted it a little bit more. So he fought through and he won that series. So I say that to say all these people that just love stats, want to talk about stats. Allen Iverson's role on that Sixers team that went to the finals was to take as many shots as he could to keep his team in the game, because they didn't have offensive players. They had a lot of defensive players. So by scheme, he's probably not going to shoot as high percentage as somebody else would. That's what J.J. Watt means when he says, I need to know the scheme. I need to talk to the player. I need to know the coach. Instead of you just handing out random grades based on what you think should be happening. So that struck a nerve with me. And you could tell it struck it with him. Like, you can hear him talking about it. It makes you mad. He's sitting in a cab, an Uber, and the Uber driver's like, yeah, I break down stats. And this. You got to do more than break down stats, man. And so, you know, I wanted to share that with you guys, because I felt passionately about that too. I was like, yeah, man, like, you can't just be looking at the stats all day, man. It does not tell the whole story. Winning is the only stat that really matters. How you win. How do you win? That's the most important one. But then outside of that, you can't just be calling dudes trash, and you can't really see, you know, you don't know the whole thing. So you got to get all the information. You got to get all the information, man. You got to get. So back to basketball, right? Back to basketball. Let me see here. Back to basketball. Yes. Patrick Beverley defends Russell Westbrook. So it looks like Pat Bev is finally one of those people that's had enough of the Russ slander. And it's funny because for years, people thought him and Russ had beef because on an out-of-bounds play, I think he hurt Russ, and that messed up the playoff dreams for that year, for that team. He hurt Russ he says by accident, ran into his knee or something like that. But here they are now, and he's like, yo, the Russell Westbrook situation makes no sense. And I agree with him. I think people have been hating on Russ for a long time, and it's nasty work. But let's let Pat Beverley tell you what he thinks, and then we'll come back and we'll analyze that.
What happened to Russ, bro? On God. It's fuck Russ. And Russ got a bad take because of that Lakers team. That's the truth, bro. That's the truth. You talk to T-Lou. T-Lou did an interview with my I love Russ. Ever since Russ left the Lakers, bro, he's been on the minimum, bro. We've never seen this ever. We've never seen a player who's been the MVP, who's impacted the game, who They call him names and tell him he can't shoot. Go to the playoffs, shoot 40% with the Clippers the very next year, right? Take a less demeaning role with the Lakers. Take a less demeaning role with the Clippers. He's been a sixth man ever since he's left the Lakers. He's a starting point guard in the NBA. He's arguably one of the top 3 point guards to ever play the game. You tell me this man can't get on the team? All because he's passionate? All because he stretches with the team every single practice? All because if it's a team out and he's there all the time? All because if you talk to anyone around the league, Russ is the best teammate I ever had. I talked to Paul George. Hey, P, hey, Pat, you gonna love Russ. Austin Reeves, Russell Westbrook, one of the best teammates I ever had. What the are we talking about? Why isn't this man on the team?
So that's Patrick Beverley talking about Russell Westbrook. And I don't know if you guys are paying attention to the news, but if you're a basketball head like me, you know that Russell Westbrook actually just got signed to the Sacramento Kings. But they're also reporting that's on like a non-guaranteed contract, which means they can release him or waive him at any time. Supposedly. I don't know if that's true or not. But Pat Bev is spot on, man. I don't know what happened, but it's really sad, man. You know, and he's from LA. The Lakers are my favorite basketball team, and it's just sad what I saw happen to him, man. Like he went from one of the best players in the league to, and it's LeBron and his team, man. I don't care what anybody says. And let me put it this way. Did LeBron James come out and say things that were necessarily negative about Russell Westbrook? Not necessarily. But what happened is his people, they said negative things about Russell Westbrook to try and take the pressure off of LeBron James. And that's a problem. That's a problem. Realistically, one of the biggest issues I have with LeBron is the people around him and his fans. They have no couth. They have no decency, no morals, no standards. There's nothing they won't do to protect his butt cheeks. They will glaze him to the high heavens. They will become goblins under a bridge for this guy. Is it every single LeBron fan? I can't say everyone. But is it a majority of them? 100% yes. And they helped destroy Russ. But also Russ has some to blame because Russ should have never did that. Russ should have stayed on the Wizards and worked his way into something. Winning is not for everybody. You understand? That doesn't mean you're not a great player. That doesn't mean you're not a great person. That doesn't mean you're not a great humanitarian, great father, whatever the case may be. Great mother, if we're talking females in sports. The point is, it's not for everybody. These team ups and running around the league when you're already an elite player, you're not helping anybody. You're hurting your career. The players that we hold in the highest regard for the most part stayed on one team. Kobe, Duncan, Dirk, Steph right now. They're held high because they stayed and they fought through. Michael Jordan. I know Michael Jordan went to the Wizards. But he didn't go over there to join people and become great, and he was towards the end of his career. He didn't want to leave the Bulls. He didn't want to leave Phil Jackson. He didn't want to get rid of Scottie Pippen. He wanted to keep the ball rolling. But unfortunately, Jerry Krause didn't want to let that be. He thought he knew everything, every freaking thing, but he didn't. But ultimately, some of the stuff that's happening to Russ, a large part of it, in my opinion, is because of LeBron James. And I actually I ran into an NBA player. I was doing in my everyday life, one of the things that I do is I help people with like financial paperwork. And for their homes and stuff like that. So I was doing that, and I ran into this basketball player. I'm not going to say his name because I'm not going to say his name, and I should have, because I actually had told him I have a podcast, and he said, yeah, interview one day, but as of right now, I don't think I'm big enough to do that. I'm not big enough to interview him. I haven't been showing my face on here or anything like that yet. So I know I'll maybe contact him in the future, but as of right now, I'm going to let him be. But I asked him, I was like, how you feel about, Russ on the Lakers, and do you feel like any of that was LeBron? And he was like, well, I don't know what you want LeBron to do, you know? And I understand what he's probably thinking from his perspective, but I don't know how much NBA players or football players, I don't know how much they follow things outside of themselves and what they got going on. You know what I mean? Because, excuse me, I tend to feel like we as fans and people that really follow sports pick up on things. Us that have to rub shoulders with the rest of the world on a regular basis, we pick up on stuff. They don't have to sit in it as much, in my opinion. Or once they leave the game, they leave the game. Like, they don't be around it. You know, a lot of guys just really leave things behind. But, yeah, I always felt like, you know, watching LeBron in his camp just destroy Russ. And the things that he would say, it's not necessarily 100% that he's attacking Russ. But the people around LeBron, the people that work for him, attack Russ. They say little sneak diss things, and he has control of the media. So what do you think happens? Most people are sheep. They're not goats. They do what they're told. And they did what they were told. And the marching assignments were destroy Russ to save LeBron. So they destroyed him. Same thing with Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis receives more slander than Joel Embiid and Paul George combined. And both of them have been way more ridiculous when it comes to injuries, to be honest with you. Neither one of those clowns is healthy right now. Let me not call them clowns. That's a little rough, unnecessary. But they're always hurt. They've been more hurt than AD. Kawhi Leonard has been more hurt than AD. But because AD was attached to LeBron for such a long time, he got murked. Wade has been murked. Bosh, definitely murked. Kevin Love might be murked more than any of them except maybe Russ. They whatever decency Kevin Love had, they tried to destroy it. And so it's just crazy, you know, how you know, unfortunately those things have happened to Russ. And part of it is the Lakers, part of it is his own doing, but a lot of it is I do blame LeBron. I blame LeBron because he lets people attack people around him so that he can look good. He does not stop them. And remember, he pays these people. He has partnerships with Bleacher Report, with ESPN, other news outlets. And he makes sure that they say things about him that are flattering. They wouldn't report on LeBron James having a paper cut if LeBron said that's too far and that's too much. So it is what it is, man. I feel bad for Russ. Russ got a new contract with the Kings. I wish him good. It's just really a shame that, like, these great players have to go out like this. Russ should be starting on a team, man. Like, he honestly, if the Wizards called him right now, if they were real serious about trying to win, they would call Russell Westbrook. But, you know, everything's a joke, so I guess we'll just leave it at a joke. But, you know, Pat Bev has had an interesting summer. Still probably not back in the NBA, I guess. He's had beef with Trey Young, and he also recently was saying some stuff about what if you change Klay Thompson with Paul George on that Warriors team. And I meant to do a video about that. I just never finished it, so I got to make sure I do that. But, you know, shout out to him for. I don't have to agree with everything Pat Bev says and does, but he stood up for a brother that deserved to be stood up for. So thank you, Pat. I appreciate that. And Russ is my guy. I just want to see the best for him. I wish he would have never left OKC. Or if he went to go to the Rockets, I wish he never would have left there. Because y'all have seen, if you've seen my video on this channel, they don't love you like that when you leave. When you're a star, they're never going to love a star in a new place the same way they love the star that's been there the whole time. That's why KD left. He was never going to be Steph to those people. So, is what it is. Aaron Rodgers, you know, jumping back into some football. Aaron Rodgers recently talked about what made him choose the Steelers versus choosing or any team. And based on what he says, a lot of it has to do with Mike Tomlin. So it looks like he really believes in Mike Tomlin, which is good. Nothing wrong with that. So let's listen to what he had to say about Mike Tomlin.
I told Mike I wish I'd had him 15 years of my career. The biggest compliment I can give him, every time we talked, beginning in March, never once felt like it was coach to player. A lot of conversations you have with coaches, it always feels like there's maybe an agenda or an angle. Never once did Mike ever make me feel like that. I just really appreciate that. You know, he always remembered things like names of people, because I was real honest about my situation. There was a cone of silence between our conversations about what I was telling him, and he would remember things and ask about people, and that just meant the world to me. Felt like I was talking to a friend, not like a coach who was trying to get me to make a decision. You know, like, hey, how's this person? But also, when are you coming in? Never once did it ever feel like that.
So, Aaron Rodgers talking on Mike Tomlin, and this is an example and speaks to who Mike Tomlin is as a person. I've literally never heard anybody say not one bad thing really about Mike Tomlin. The one loose cannon or wild card, I guess you could say, is AB. AB has he basically went on a killing spree, man, like a Halo killing spree on everybody for. However, you know, people like him and Kanye are of the same ilk. I mean, when they start spraying, everybody gets hit. You know what I mean? And they go unrelentingly. But AB, even though he was snapping on a bunch of people, anybody that was within distance, he never snapped really that I heard on Mike Tomlin like that. And I think that speaks to who Mike Tomlin is as a person. Now you hear Aaron Rodgers speaking very highly of Tomlin. I've heard Ben Roethlisberger speak highly of Tomlin. I've heard literally everybody speak highly of Tomlin. Even the players that get disgruntled and left. You know? Like Antonio Brown. I think George Pickens was the guy he's like one of the top guys on the Cowboys as a receiver. They don't really say nothing bad about Mike Tomlin. So I think that really speaks to who Mike Tomlin is as a man, as a leader, and as somebody to be respected. And people are like, he needs to lose his job. He needs to lose his job because he don't win no playoff games. But I would hate to see the day where Mike Tomlin loses his job, if I'm being honest. Because I just think we live in a world where everybody is not good. And when you have one or two good people, you know, maybe it's a good idea to hold on to him. He brings a level of stability to that team. They find ways to win. He finds ways to make the playoffs. You can call it what you want, but he finds ways. You can't hate on him for that. So, and Aaron Rodgers is not an easy person to get along with. He's never been an easy person to get along with. He's always had beef with somebody. And is Aaron Rodgers a bad person? I won't necessarily say that, but I think Aaron is somebody who knows what he wants. And I think he's willing to go in the complete opposite direction of everybody else if he doesn't feel comfortable going in that direction. And to that extent, I do respect Aaron Rodgers. But real recognize real. And maybe why he gets to, with Tomlin so easily is because Tomlin is a real one. And again, I've never heard anybody say anything bad about Mike Tomlin. And I've seen people like AB, George Pickens, if that's his name. I think it's Pickens, George Pickens. The receiver on the Cowboys next to CeeDee Lamb now. I think it's George Pickens. It just, guys that are disgruntled, they still never say nothing bad about Tomlin, and that's respectable. That's very respectable. If you haven't noticed, Paul Pierce is back on the attack. He's doing it again. And he's coming out, he's saying different things, and I got to tell you, I love it. I think Paul Pierce is one of those gifts that just keeps on giving. You put a mic in front of him, he's going to say some wild stuff. However, he's not always that wild for saying it. I know it's easy to think that. I know people think he's an absolute madman. But he's not always as mad as you think. And in this recent interview, there's about 3 different things we're going to talk about back to back to back from that interview. It was a good interview. And we're going to start with what he said about Ray Allen. So if you're not familiar, there was a time when Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, and Kevin Garnett tried to take over the world. Garnett and Allen were traded to the Celtics, and they instantly became contenders. They were super tough on defense. That was the real crazy thing about them, just how great their defense was. They shut down my Lakers back then. And since that point, they've always been pretty good. But before that, even with Paul Pierce there, they had some years where they really struggled, especially after Antoine Walker left. And then it was just Paul Pierce. They really struggled to win anything. But with that being said, he talked about Ray Allen and what it really felt like when Ray did what he did. So let me let you listen to what he had to say about that.
It was absolutely where he went. You got to understand, we've been battling on LeBron for the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
So now they're our rival.
Yeah.
Like not the Heat on our rival. It's LeBron. He's our rival. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, dude, we just played them in the playoffs a year ago. Like, you can't go play with them.
So you don't want him to go help him get a championship?
Yeah, nah, that ain't how this works. Nah, I would have been better off him going to the Lakers, and that's our biggest rival.
Damn.
I would have been cooler with him doing that.
If Ray Allen say, you know what, hey man, look, I'm leaving, blah blah blah. I'm going to join Kobe. You cool with that?
If we had that conversation and it was like a conversation, I think the biggest issue, Shannon, was we didn't have no conversation with him. Listen, and I tell this story all the time, we was a brotherhood. When you win and our wives are friends and our kids are friends, we doing family stuff, Halloween, Thanksgiving. And for you to abruptly leave without a conversation, like, hey, I'm thinking about, doing this.
Right.
We built something here. Like, is there something, like if there was an issue with contract, maybe there's something I could talk to Danny about or Wick. Like, lean on us first. Like, to us to wake up and hear it.
Right.
Like, that's the issue I had.
Right.
And me and him had that conversation. I was like, damn, we couldn't even get a phone call or nothing. Like, is it something we could have done? Like, we could have maybe talked to Doc if the contract wasn't to your liking or whatnot, you didn't like your role on the team, like something, like what is it? Maybe we can help. But like to just like get up, leave the house, don't tell us where you're going, then we see where you at,
Right.
Mama didn't like that. I couldn't do that.
The rumor had it that Ray was looking for homes
while during the Miami series the year before. Like before.
Is that true?
No, this was the rumor that we were playing Miami in the playoffs the year before.
Right.
While we was down there, he was already looking at houses.
I mean, Miami is nice, B.
Like, you can't be in a series. You already checked out.
No, I ain't checked out, but Mama want to live in Miami.
Nah.
The weather is nice. I don't want to live in Boston year round.
You already in this series, like, this some bullshit. I'm coming to play for them next year, who we're battling.
You think he was upset with his role?
I think he was upset with his role. And then went to Miami and got the same role. If Ray stayed, we could have won too, I feel like.
You felt at that point in time, if Ray comes back, y'all are equipped to deal with LeBron?
Yeah. You understand, we went back to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah.
2 years, like we went to the finals 2010, but then we played them again in the conference finals like 2 or 3 years later in Miami.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we was equipped for a few more years if he stayed.
Right.
So man, there's a lot to take in there from what Paul Pierce said. But to start with, some of the things that he spoke about was like, we didn't like it. We didn't like it at all. There was no conversation. He said he was so mad that he would have rather have seen him go to the Lakers, which is crazy because we kept playing them in the finals and they got us once and we got them the second time. But he said he would have seen him go to the Lakers. And I think it really comes down to, for them, you went to a direct rival, like not one that you're going to see in the finals. Like a team that you're going to see throughout the course of the season multiple times, and a team that you're going to definitely see in the playoffs. It was just kind of a breach of contract. Ray Allen's move was not as snaky as Kevin Durant's, but low-key, it was a snaky move, man. Remember, the reason that the Heat have one of the championships that they do is because Ray Allen hit a crazy three-pointer in the corner. No Ray Allen, no championship. It's that simple. So they gave Ray Allen, they didn't give him, but Ray Allen just decided, I'm just going to go play with the Heat. And there's no way you could tell me he wasn't trying to, rub it in their faces. Paul Pierce even mentioned he was mad about his role. Ray Allen and Rajon Rondo absolutely hate each other for some reason. And at the end of the day, I really think Ray Allen was mad about the role that Rondo was taking. Rondo was becoming a better player. He had more control over the offense. And Ray Allen didn't like it. He was like, you're passing to A.V. Bradley more than you're passing to me. He didn't like it. And ultimately, they had to make a decision of what they were going to do. And I guess Ray Allen felt like they were moving more towards Rondo and not taking up for him. So he's like, I'm out. All the camaraderie, all the family stuff went out the door. And that's why KG and Paul Pierce were so mad. And they thought on top of it, if Ray stays, we have a chance to compete for more championships. But what happened, happened. So it is what it is. Excuse me. It is what it is, man. So there's not really much else to add to that other than Paul Pierce hated that move. Him and KG absolutely hated it. And if you're Ray Allen, like I said, I guess the get back was funny, but messed up a brotherhood, messed up some friendships. And it was KD-like, in my opinion. They just beat you, and you run over there like that. Or actually, I think, when did he, I don't know exactly when he went to them, but I don't know if they were the ones. I don't know if the Heat beat the Celtics, and then that's when he went over there. I don't remember. But yeah, I think it was a little bit of a shiesty move, and with Paul Pierce on that one. But we're going to stick with Paul Pierce, and we're going to talk about, recently he said that Bron wouldn't have gotten his 4th ring if we were the same age. Him and Bron. So let's actually get into that and see what he had to say about that particular topic.
If we were the same age, I don't believe he would have had 4 championships. He wouldn't have got.
You kept him for 4?
He wouldn't have got those 2 in Miami. Because I gotta believe if we're the same age and I could offset him, and that would have been good enough.
Right.
If he had got 40 in Game 6 and we the same, I would probably got 40 and offset him.
Right.
I was at an older age then, a lot of miles and stuff,
Yeah.
and it was hard for me to keep up with him. I ain't gonna lie. I'll be looking at that tape, Shannon, and I'm like, damn. I couldn't even move. As a younger, I could have moved with him, but I'm
because in Brooklyn, you say you got it. You gonna G him up in Brooklyn. I don't know what you was on that
my
day.
mind and body say 2 different things.
Your mind was saying one thing, that body said, nah, I ain't
got him, I thought I did.
Paul Pierce is always going to give you some sound bites that's going to make you wonder, was he smoking something before he started this? Or was he, or is he being dead serious? But when you really think about it, to be honest with you, Paul Pierce is not really 100% wrong, man. I know he says some crazy things before. He said he was better than D. Wade. People looked at him crazy, He says some things. But it's not really that he's 100% wrong, if I'm being honest with you. Paul Pierce is one of those anomaly type players to me, right? What do I mean by anomaly? I mean that we can sit here and talk about the accolades and some of the accolades he did or did not have. But the truth of the matter is, if you watch the man play, any given moment, he could light you up. Any given moment, he could play a really good defense. Any given moment, you're sitting there thinking to yourself like, yo, this guy's playing like he's the best player on the court. That was Paul Pierce. I throw him in the same category as people like Carmelo Anthony, Vince Carter, T-Mac, and Allen Iverson. Where maybe these guys... Now, Allen Iverson had a lot of accolades, and T-Mac had some too. But I don't think Carmelo had a bunch of accolades, right? Vince didn't have a bunch of accolades. But when it came down to playing basketball, you're watching these guys play, and you're like, maybe this guy's supposed to be better than him. Maybe that guy's supposed to be better than him. Maybe Kobe is the best player in the world. But man, these guys are giving it to Kobe. He's in that group of guys that's like just that good, man. He's just that good. And as far as him saying if him and LeBron were around the same age, they could... And he's not saying they would have did much better than LeBron. He's saying we would have evened each other out. And I can't say that he's 100% wrong, man. And yes, I know I'm not a big LeBron James fan. Some of you might be like, oh, you couldn't wait to put down LeBron. I'm not going to put LeBron down here. That's not the point. The point is not to put LeBron down. But what I am saying is that Paul Pierce could have matched LeBron. Maybe he would have did a little less. Maybe he would have scored a little bit more than LeBron. But he was on that level. And I do think after a certain point, he got older and got more tired. I do agree with that. The same way you watched Kobe Bryant kind of break down, Paul Pierce then broke down. KG by the end was just not KG anymore. You know, all those other guys kind of broke down. And you started seeing it. They started slowing down a little bit. Just tired and couldn't keep up. But at the same age, with the same energy... And LeBron's an anomaly. I mean, he's got a body of a god. But most people begin to break down. And I do think there's some truth to what Paul Pierce said, because his body did start to, it did start to break down, in my opinion. He wasn't quite the same guy by the time it was all said and done. And one of LeBron's best games, I think, was where he went for 45 in like a game 6 or 7 or something like that. Might have been game 7 against the Celtics, the big three, when he was on the Heat. And I think it's moments like that where Paul Pierce is saying, like, yo, like, if I had some more youth on my side, I could have matched him there. And I got to tell you, this is not a slapping or capping, because I just didn't end up doing it that way for this this show. But I actually think he's slapping here. Most of y'all, bro, he's capping. But listen, if you're a younger LeBron fan, I know y'all don't listen. I know y'all are hard-headed. Y'all are, YNs to the max. Crazy young ninjas. I get it. But here's the thing. If you watch Paul Pierce, like I said, any given game, you're like, yo, is he the best player on the floor? Paul Pierce was an animal. You understand? An absolute animal. Absolute animal. And he was unafraid of moments. He was as cool as the other side of the pillow. R.I.P. my guy, Stuart Scott used to say that all the time. He didn't flinch. He was about that life. So it's easy to disrespect Paul Pierce now. Maybe you see when he was on Brooklyn going against LeBron, and LeBron tortured him, put him in a torture chamber. But that wasn't the same Paul Pierce. And like I said, everybody breaks down except LeBron. He looks the same. So when he says certain things like that, he's not wrong. Paul Pierce he's not necessarily lying to you, if I'm being honest. He's really not. He's really not. So we got one more clip from Paul Pierce. And this one, he's talking about where he is in the grand pantheon of great scorers. And based on what I just said here, listen, man, he's I don't know exactly where I rank him, but let's listen to what he has to say, and then I'll think about it. But as far as like pure scoring basketball players, like being able to score, again, he's on that list. Let's check out what he had to say about himself. He sure talks a lot about himself, right?
Post game, mid-range, off the dribble three,
Yeah.
step back, off the pick and roll. We're not talking about nothing out there, just getting buckets.
Right.
I feel post game, mid game, elbow, three, all the way out. I had no offensive weaknesses, like not one. Take all the top scorers, take the best thing they do.
Right.
And you can take the best thing I do. See, the thing about me, you can't even tell me what's the best thing I do offensively because I think I do all of them the same.
Really well.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you can say Curry, take his shooting ability away.
Right.
Jordan, what, his fadeaway or whatever. Like, what do you take away from me? Like, I can do, like, what's my greatest scoring strength? Nobody can even tell you because I did it all well.
I'm going to push you to the three-point line.
I won a three-point championship contest. I won a three-point contest.
That ain't nobody guard you.
I mean, I've dominated games from the three.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? So I say it like that. And it's not a knock on the great scorers because I respect all of them. And, you know, it wasn't a knock on Jordan because I respect Carmelo, Kobe, and all of them. But I'm like, I'm right there.
Right. You did something that you're the first player to win the three-point competition for Celtic since Larry Bird, and you beat Steph Curry. So
I always tell people
that's the thing. See, it's not just winning the three-point competition; it's who you beat in order to win the three-point competition.
I say, hey, Steph Curry was in the contest. They'd be like, oh, he was a rookie. It was still Steph. It was still Steph Curry.
Wasn't Steph Curry? That's all I need to know.
Steph Curry was in the contest because in 10 years from now, that's Steph Curry, and I beat him. I don't know how old he was. You know what I'm saying? He was there.
He was there. We're not talking about 10 years Steph. We're not talking about, we talking about Steph. He's still Steph.
Is he the greatest shooter ever?
He's the greatest shooter ever.
Well, I beat him. That's all I'm saying. Take Jordan's athleticism out, where he can't just jump over you to score, and we just do everything on the floor.
Right.
I feel like my skill level is
better than Kobe.
Man, Kobe is close.
He close? What you mean?
No. Look.
You close to him or he close to you?
Because if you ever watch Cove interviews about me, you know, he always talk about my footwork.
Yes.
And Cove had elite footwork too.
Yeah.
And so, like, Cove without his athleticism was still pretty elite because of that, because of his IQ and his footwork.
Correct.
And there's not a lot of players I can say that about once I take their athleticism away. So if there is anybody, he's right there. But
Harden is not the most athletic, but Harden can put the ball in the basket at an elite level.
Yeah, but listen to this. When you look at how you score.
Okay.
So, you look at Harden, one of the greatest scorers ever, had a historic season. Mm-hmm. But he was all threes and layups and free throws.
Yeah.
Like.
No midi.
Like, he could shoot the midi, but, think about this. I could come up, today's game, name me one player that can come off a down screen and hit a jumper.
Right.
They don't even run that.
Ain't nobody try to hit that.
Nobody can do that. Like, maybe Kevin Durant and Steph Curry.
Yeah.
What can they do that I can't? Except jump over somebody.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, I can shoot the three. I can shoot the pull-up. I can shoot who's the greatest scorer? Kevin Durant? Mm-hmm. I can do everything he can do. He just probably do it at a higher percentage.
Oh, yeah, he going to shoot it.
Yeah, he going to do it, and that's the difference when you talk about the scores.
The efficiency in which he does, efficiency in which someone does something, that's what they're looking at now.
That's what they're looking at. But if we just talk about just the ability to do
Put the ball in the basket.
That way,
right?
Then I'm right there. But, when you're doing it at a higher percentage, it looks different, on another level. And that's what he does.
So here we go again. You know, Paul Pierce, I told you guys he was going to say some more stuff. He's the gift that keeps on giving. He's one of those gifts, man. He's one of those gifts. When Paul Pierce talks, give him the microphone. Don't talk too much. Let him go. Let him cook. And you're going to come away with some sound bites. As far as him saying that he's an elite scorer, I mean, again, this could have been a slapping or capping, but the boy is not lying, man. I'm telling you, he's not lying. I know a lot of people hate Paul Pierce. If you're a Bron fan, I know you hate Paul Pierce. I know there's a good chance you hate that man, but he is not one to be played with in his prime, man. He's not lying. Shaq nicknamed him the truth. I believe it was Shaq that did that because he saw him go toe-to-toe versus Kobe Bryant, and I think one game he hit the game winner on us when Kobe and Shaq were still on the same team in L.A. or something like that. And Shaq was like, yo, he's the truth. And they nicknamed him the truth after that, man. Shaq is another one that is he capping? But he actually does give he did give a lot of people nicknames. I'm going to be honest with you, including himself. That's the type of time Shaq is on. But I think Paul Pierce is honestly telling the truth, man. If you really look at his game, first of all, I forgot that he beat Steph Curry in the three-point contest. And yes, it was a young Curry, and most players do become better shooters as their time goes on. But I mean, Steph came out chefing immediately. But of course, yes, he did get better. I'll give you that. Could he beat prime Steph Curry in the shooting contest? Honestly, I don't know. But he can say that I beat him. He can say that. And a shooting contest isn't really like the same thing as like beating down on a young dude and like, you're a rookie in the league. I'm in year 10. I got all my skills. You don't know who you are yet. Shooting is shooting, man, most of the time. I get, people can become better shooters, though. I'll keep it real with that. But, Steph came out the womb shooting. But he did beat him. So... Paul Pierce is smart, man. Like he uses those type of things to his advantage. I'm sure he tells people that all the time when they try to say, "Oh, well, he really does good." Nah, I beat Steph in a 3-point contest. Like how many people could say that outside of maybe his dad when Steph was a kid? Like how many other people could say they beat him in a shooting contest? But he has that. He had crazy footwork. He could come down off of pin downs and pop. He could come off screens. He is a good 3-point shooter. I know Shannon said I would push you out to 3, but that's not really doing nothing, man. Paul Pierce was one of the better shooters in the league for the time that he played. Now, he mentioned at the end, like people might look at statistics and be like, oh, well, he shoots at a higher percentage. And he didn't really fully get into that. But, people like myself, and if you watch Man Down Sports, he's one of the first people I've seen besides myself that talks about this all the time. Is like, I really don't give a dang about people's field goal percentage, man. I don't think that makes you a great scorer. And I definitely don't think it makes Kevin Durant the greatest thing since sliced bread. Because this is the same, the things that Kevin Durant says, and we're going to, actually, he's on the list of people we're going to talk about. I think he's last. He's our last segment for this pod episode. But he stopped shooting after, like, he's not really out there to really kill. He does things that are convenient. He likes things easy. He's not really out there to kill, man. You know what I mean? Paul Pierce, if he had the advantage on you, was cooking you. And he wanted the shot at the end of the game. And I'm not saying KD don't want the shot at the end of the game, but KD takes breaks, man. He takes breaks. He wants to play like this pseudo team ball type thing. And I think that Paul Pierce, if he smelled blood, he was going to cook you. Now, he's not as explosive as these other guys. That's the thing, right? He's not as explosive. He's not exploding for 60 points like Kobe and Allen Iverson and T-Mac, right? He's not, or Melo. He ain't doing that necessarily. But he's going to give you a steady diet of I'm cooking you. And it's going to be at times when you really need it. That's the difference that's why they call him the truth. He would find angles or little ways to get his shot off. He was deadly. He was the step back king, by the way. And he used to step back on people on the right elbow, and it was cash. Book it, Dano. Book him, Dano. It's over, man. And that's the difference too with him. Is like he would get better as the game goes on, and he didn't need a lot of room. Paul Pierce to me is like, his game was very like Luka Doncic-ish. It was like Luka mixed with James Harden mixed with Melo to me. It was like he was those three in one. And he came before them. And I'd be interested to know if they studied him. Because I saw something with Carmelo talking about players that he studied. And to be honest with you, I think he said Ron Mercer and Mitch Richmond. Those guys played similar to Paul Pierce. So I wonder if Melo ever studied Paul Pierce a little bit. Because it's very similar. Like, in a phone booth, Paul Pierce was not overly athletic. But in a phone booth, like Melo, his movements were quick. So he'd catch you, whether it's a jab, a spin. And it wasn't that he was fast in general. It was just that he could kind of catch you, in those moments. So it was really that he could catch you in a quick moment. And then on top of that, he had to step back. So that's where the James Harden comes in, right? And he wasn't. James Harden in his prime was actually more athletic and faster than Paul Pierce. And I think James Harden is lazy at times, but he is fast. Like actually low key, and he looks like he's 90 years old with that beard, but he actually is kind of fast when he wants to be. So Paul Pierce is the originator of the step back. He's the first person I've seen cooking people with it, like day in and day out. And then I would mix in a little bit of Luka Doncic because he played at his own pace. And he did do a lot of that. I'm going to get you to turn, and that's how I'm going to get you. He wasn't overly fast, wasn't overly athletic, but he was highly skilled. And so Paul Pierce mentioned like Kobe Bryant and the skill level of Kobe. And he was like, that's tough. I don't know. But he was somebody that, like Kobe, the footwork was impeccable. The timing, the ability to make big shots in big moments. Competed on defense. People don't talk about his defense, but he was a good defender. He was a good defender. He didn't give up. Like he would fight. You know what I mean? He was a good defender. So, I mean, they call this man the truth. I know if you're a LeBron fan, you hate him, but they call him the truth. I got to give him his flowers. So, like he said, he is probably he's one of the best scorers of all time. Where is he? Man. If we're talking about all-star, superstar level players, because he was a superstar, people might not agree with me on that, but I think Paul Pierce was a superstar. Elite level players, are you talking about scoring? Because I mean, obviously there's guys that I wouldn't consider super elite. Jamal Crawford, Nick Young, not Ty Lue, Lou Will. I mean, these are bona fide scorers, man. These guys were disgusting. Nate Robinson was nasty off the bench. There's some guys. Ben Gordon was nasty back in the day. There was some guys, man. Monte Ellis was a nasty scorer. But if you're just talking about like superstar scorers, in the time period that I've been watching basketball, he's definitely, I would say he's top 10. In the time period that I've been watching basketball. But if you're talking about all time, and then you added in some newer guys, like for example, I'd rather have Paul Pierce as a scorer on my team than Devin Booker. And I know some of you think I'm crazy, but because Devin Booker had a 70-point game, but you know, with Devin, I don't see it. And Devin probably even averages more than Paul Pierce. But again, this is a different era. When I look at Paul Pierce, I actually think he's a more elite scorer than Devin Booker. I really do. And that's no knock on Devin. Devin is a great player. But Paul Pierce, to me, was a better scorer. And a better overall player, really, than Devin Booker. So that's like to try to give you an idea of how good I think he is. But I could go on and on. I've gone on and on. I've gone much longer in this segment than I expected to. I'm getting passionate about Paul Pierce, which I also didn't expect to do. But I just want to give certain players their flowers. Guys we don't talk about. And again, we need to be talking about other players within basketball. It can't be the same 3 or 4 guys for the rest of our lives. The game is so much more beautiful than that. So, you know, love the game. Respect the player. You know, the sacrifices and how good they were in their time period. We need to do more of that. So, you know, that's what I plan to do. And like I said, Paul Pierce, he was right up there, man. Right up there. So I'm not gonna disrespect dude and act like he wasn't all that in a bag of chips at one point and standing toe to toe with the Kobe's, the T-Macs, the AIs, the Vince Carters, the Carmelos, the LeBrons. He was looking at them dead in their eyes like, yo, you good, but this gonna be my game, you know? So, yeah. Paul Pierce for president. Just joking. Boy. Now, it is time for our daily crash out. I need to make that a segment. Every week, I should have a crash out segment, right? I should probably do that. I got to keep that in mind. Because somebody's crashing out every week, right? Or every other week, something like that. But, yeah, let's welcome in our daily crash out segment here. with Michael Irvin. Lost his mind, for a minute. Lost my mama, lost my mind. I'm pretty sure that was Spaceship, Kanye West. If you haven't heard the song, look it up. I've been working this grave shift and I ain't made. I think I should buy me a spaceship and fly past the sky. Junk's dope. Kanye's my guy, man. But life is lifing for that boy. But can't deny the music. But let's check out this all-time crash out by Michael Irvin, who is another one of the gifts that just keeps on giving. And you know what? The guys I say that are gifts that just keep on giving are the guys that like they give you everything they have. They're so passionate. They keep it 100% real, almost all the time. So let's listen to this all-time crash out by the playmaker himself.
Prime wasn't covering the people that these boys are covering either. Who? All these boys.
You gotta line up every week.
Every week. Every team got a dude or two that will bust your. The receivers from back then.
Might not be prime though.
These guys that he played against weren't that fast, bro. No, they were stronger, but they weren't that fast. These guys now, I would have loved to see him play against Chad in his prime. I would have loved to see him play against Justin Jefferson right now today. All these different guys. I would love to see him cover Tyreek. If Prime is who we think he is.
Are you kidding me? We are the two most accomplished receivers in the history of this game. When you're talking about the most important things, championships, and you're stupid talking about running fast like people weren't running fast back then. Are you kidding me? What the hell are you talking about? I don't even know your name. And I certainly don't know your game because you don't. I don't see you every year with a gold jacket in that Hall of Fame room. I don't see you anywhere great players are. So who the you to talk about what? Deion Sanders couldn't cover these guys today. Do you really know what you're talking about? Do you really have any clue at what you're talking about? You think there were not fast guys in the league when I played? You think Tyreek Hill can outrun an Olympian like Bullet Bob Hayes who played before me? You think he can outrun the Ronaldo Nehemiahs who tried to play in this game? You know why he tried? Because they wanted speed in the game, but other things were required when we played. You must get to run around and play in 7-on-7 touch football. We had pain in our game, and y'all don't even know about pain. Every route you got hit, even running around in the middle of, you could get tapped by those linebackers. They took all of that out of the game because y'all were soft, and you couldn't take it. You come from an era of everybody gets a trophy. In NIL, where nobody fights for a starting job. I ain't started. I'm going to go leave and start somewhere else. Get the out of my face talking noise until you know what you're talking about. I will dominate this era of football. Dominate. Football's not about running fast. It's not about speed. It's about getting the job done. It's about getting the job done. And you won't tell me you know somebody that got the job done better than me, better than Jerry Rice, that you're going to use our picture and trying to make your point? Are you stupid or are you stupid? There was separate from ball, separation from the football, and it was allowed. It was encouraged. It was actually praised when you knocked somebody out. If anybody hit you, they'll suspend them for 3 weeks. You couldn't even play when I played the game. And some of these talking about, they couldn't even play when we played the game. And even to tap on to how dumb you are and how stupid y'all are with oh my God, when you started talking about, well, Deion couldn't play with these guys. I want to see him play with some real fast guys. See if he can play with all these speed guys. And then the first 2 examples you bring up was Chad Johnson and Justin Jefferson, who are not fast guys. I don't mind you being stupid. I don't mind you being dumb. I don't mind you not knowing what the talking about, but keep my name out your mouth when you don't know what you're talking about. Keep my name and my image. Don't try to my work when I won championships on every level. On every level. When they can knock us out. I call passes in the midst of pain. Y'all don't do that. Y'all ain't never had to do that. So shut the hell up. You are none of these to play and do the things I did. So shut the hell up. I won championships. That means I went in and made plays where pain lived. Y'all can't do that. Dude, I'll catch 200 passes in today's game. Literally 200 passes a year. A year. I ain't never catch a pass behind the line of scrimmage in my whole career. All my passes were up the field in the midst of pain. And I caught them anyway. And I caught them every day, and I caught them every kind of way. And the bigger the game, the bigger I played. So I don't care that you stupid. I don't care that you're ignorant. And I don't care that you don't know what the hell you're talking about. But don't use my image. Don't use my image. Don't use my image. And don't use Jerry Rice's image. Use somebody else. I don't know if you did it or your producers, but whoever did it, on y'all.
Woo, boy. I mean, bro, you can't tell me this is not the ultimate crash out. This might be the best crash out I've ever heard in my life. It had everything you needed to be a real crash out. Unnecessary cuss words, a lot of cuss words, long, like very long, like I'm never going to stop. Don't stop till you get enough type long. And honestly, in a good crash out, you're actually dropping some facts, man. And he did. You cannot deny anything that brother said, because one of the big things that he said is that I had to deal with pain. I sought out pain. And I was like, dang, Mike, that's how you feel? This goes for basketball or football equally. And he's talking about football, but it goes for basketball too. Listen, it's hard to compare eras because these guys didn't know how. These guys now don't deal with pain. Mike is cooking. Where's the pain? No pain, no game, man. No pain, no game, son. He's cooking. Cooking with fish grease. All right? They don't play with pain no more. He said, I never caught a pass behind the line of scrimmage. Hey, guess what? Deebo Samuels, can you catch a pass? Can you be a great receiver without catching a pass behind the line of scrimmage? Without being a glorified running back? And sassy on top of that, because you know you're a sass monster. Like, Michael Irvin ain't lying, man. I don't even like the Cowboys. I hate the Cowboys. I'm an Eagles fan. But I gotta show my man some love. Gotta spread some love. Give him some love, man. He's telling the truth. You know what I mean? He's telling the truth. There is literally, he had to deal with pain. And at a time when they, like he said, also, they were looking to kill you, knock you out the game, dislodge you from the ball. And he still was catching those passes. And he's also not lying because he played his biggest games when it mattered the most. That's why they call him the playmaker. That's why he has 3 championship rings. And that's why the Cowboys have not done anything, have not done shiitake mushrooms in the last 30 or 40 years since that man has not been there. We're in 2025 now. Nobody has seen the Cowboys since the 90s. I'd say it's been at least 30 years. And you're going to tell me they're not missing Michael Irvin? He was a different breed, man. And then he mentioned Jerry Rice also. A different breed, man. Jerry Rice is the all-time greatest receiver of all time, pretty much without question. And he did it at a time when they were trying to kill you and knock you out the game. And then we're talking about Deion Sanders. If you watch the tape, football looked easy for Deion, man. Deion's cockiness makes me mad sometimes because I feel like he just does way too much, and he's always mentioning God. And a part of me is like, brother, God warns us against being too cocky and being too obsessed with ourselves. And he talks about being humble, right? That's what the Bible talks about. Jesus Christ instructs us, be humble. In the words of Kendrick Lamar, be humble, sit down. I always wanted to say that to Deion, but I see why he was cocky and called himself prime time. If you ever watched him play, it looked easy peasy, lemon squeezy, man. So to sit here, and those, I forgot to mention, those were some guys, I don't know where those guys came from, but they were talking about it, and then Michael Irvin heard that and just flipped on him. But he's absolutely right and warranted in the flip out and the crash out because, yeah, it's. I don't see where he lied. He didn't lie. He didn't lie at all. So crash out accepted. They don't know how to deal with pain now. There's a flag for everything. They're constantly trying to make the game easier. You can't take out the quarterback. You can't hit defenseless receivers. You could do all that when he played, when Michael Irvin played. Even if they miss the pass, oh, that's a free shot. I'm gonna kill him. You can't take free shots at people now. That's 15 yards. And in a game of inches, 15 yards is, that's the end of the world. It's a different game, so you cannot disrespect people like Michael Irvin when he says what he says about things like that. Can't, because he's right. So, crash out acceptable, in my opinion. Good stuff. And now we have come to our final segment of the day. And that is Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is, man, I tell you guys, y'all know I'm not a LeBron guy, but I'm not a Kevin Durant guy either, but it's for different reasons. Like, I think both of them are great players, and I think that Kevin Durant really is an awesome talent, and I actually think there's some things about him that are cool, but I like that he actually gets on social media and goes at people and returns the energy. I actually love it. But the problem I have is that he's just so soft to me. Like, when it comes to just decisions on the court, man, it just bothers me. And then on top of that, people speak so highly of him like they're not seeing this other stuff. If he's so great, why did he run over to Golden State and leave Russ high and dry? If he's so great, why is it that everywhere he goes, it almost looks, it's not quite what LeBron does, but it's like, LeBron's form of cancer is stronger. It's like testicular cancer or pancreatic cancer. Once those get you, your balls are in danger. Your pancreas is dead. Like, that's what happens when LeBron gets to you. But right after that, there's a cancer that Durant brings that's just, maybe it won't take you out forever, but it don't feel good. And you still got to do chemo to cleanse it out of your system and bathe yourself in the waters of Lake Minnetonka. If you don't get the reference, there's a great artist named Prince. If you don't know who he is, shame on you. But you can redeem yourself by immediately looking him up. And then I need you to listen to the song Purple Rain 10 times in a row. And it's long. It's a long song. So you're going to be there for a while. But you're welcome. Either way, that's how I feel about Kevin Durant. And he just doesn't sound like a winner to me. Yes, he did win on Golden State. But that's because, to me, Steph Curry is a winner. And sadly, I hate to admit this, Draymond Green is a winner. Listen to what Kevin Durant had to say, and then I'll explain why this heated me up, why this lit me on fire. Check this out.
You have to score baskets if you want to win a championship. Playing defense, we can get any one of y'all in here to bend your legs, not touch the basketball, slide left and right, and contest the shot. That's easy. But when we're talking about winning at a high level against the best of the best, you cannot just do that and win a basketball game. You have to make shots. And that's why I work on my game so much. So if you want to win, got to make shots.
No, man. No, and yes. Yes and no. Yes, you do have to make shots to win. You usually need a player that can leave this planet and enter a realm of unstoppableness to finish off a game. You need a player like a Kyrie Irvin that can just walk up to the line and see that defender in front of him and still cook him like he's just a regular dude off the streets. You do need that. But also, there's a lot of guys that can score. He makes it seem like, oh, there's only like a few guys. There's a lot of guys that can score. Now, score at an ultra elite level, okay, that's a smaller number. But historically, those guys don't necessarily win championships. The guys that can do both win championships. But specifically, the guys that can play defense and be pretty good on offense. Like above good, but maybe not elite. Those are the teams that win. Understand, man? It's not just about scoring. And he says this like, come on, man. But you can see this in Kevin Durant. This is why he goes to the Suns and they fall apart. This is why I don't expect the Rockets to be good this year. They also lost Fred VanVleet. They have no point guard. It's not going to be KD because he told you he only works on one part of his game. I got to say, here, with that statement, this is why LeBron has been a little bit more successful at being a cheap bum than KD has. KD's cheap bumness has limits because he has limits mentally. I practice on scoring because you need a bucket to win. When you're going against the best of the best, you got to be able to hit a basket. When you're going against the best of the best, you also got to play some freaking defense, bro. You also got to know when to pass the ball. You also got to be a good rebounder. You got to do whatever it takes to win, my guy. But you, brother, never pick that up. You just go out there and you just want to have a good old freaking time. You want to ride the coattails of Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green. You want to play, quote unquote, good basketball. You want to leave Russ behind because you want it easy. You want to join the Nets. You want to be with Kyrie Irving and James Harden and then blame the people around you for why you lost. Anybody could play defense. You could teach anybody to slide their feet. You could teach anybody to be Dennis Rodman. You could teach anybody to be Scottie Pippen. You could teach anybody to be Kobe Bryant on defense. You could teach anybody to be Ron Artest on defense. You could teach anybody to be Ben Wallace. You could teach anybody to be Tim Duncan. You could teach anybody to be Hakeem Olajuwon. You could teach anybody to be Tony Allen. You could teach anybody to be Lou Dort and Alex Caruso, who just won a championship for playing great defense. Come on, man. Don't be listening to these guys. I'm sorry. I know people look at me and you're a nobody. You ain't never played basketball at no level that actually mattered. All that. I got it. But I've been watching basketball my whole life. I promise you, I've been watching basketball my whole life. And I've never seen a guy that just scores and wins off that. That wasn't tenacious on defense also. I've never seen it. There's been a lot of guys that cook. Don't get me wrong. I love Swaggy P. That's my guy. Lou Will is a monster. But they don't necessarily always win because they didn't always play defense. Shout out Swaggy. He got his ring and he contributed. With Kevin Durant, mind you. But again, y'all were surrounded by a bunch of dogs that played defense. Iguodala. I think Sean Livingston was on one of those teams. They played D. Know what I mean? So at the end of the day, you got to play defense, man. And I kind of know what Kevin Durant is saying, but it's also like, bro, you can't just take nobody out and play no defense. You got to play defense, man. That has to be a part of your game. That's the only way to win. That's one of the only things you can control. Going bucket for bucket ain't doing nothing. And more so than not, when you watch Kevin Durant play, I swear to you, he goes out there, he plays his game, and he loses. And I don't care what nobody says. If you watch it enough, you've seen it, you get it. I would take Allen Iverson over Kevin Durant if I had to start a team today. Give me prime AI. You know why? Because Allen Iverson played with his whole heart and soul every game. In their primes, if I had to start a team right now, in the prime. You know what? Bumped it. I know everybody's doing Russ dirty. And I know Skip Bayless and them was doing Russ dirty. And I know Kevin Durant left Russ because people was bad-mouthing Russ and saying, I would rather have Russ on my team today than Kevin Durant. Because if you let Russ play his game and you surround him with the right type of people, I don't know if they're going to win a championship, but I bet you they'll make the freaking playoffs. That's one thing Brody could do most of the time. Until you put him with a bunch of losers that don't want to play hard every game. A la LeBron and a la KD. Even though he never missed the playoffs with KD. But what I'm saying about KD is he went over to the Suns and did nothing. There's no reason they shouldn't have made the playoffs. I don't care to anybody. Oh, the roster wasn't great. He's supposed to be one of the best players of all time. When has Russ not made the playoffs? Besides that 1 year on my team, because LeBron likes to take breaks and not play hard when he feels like he's not going to win nothing. Quitter. So, I mean, that's what I noticed when I watched Kevin Durant. I noticed that, yes, all-time great scorer, one of the best scorers we've ever seen. I get all that. Very talented. But he's the guy at LA Fitness that you keep picking up and you keep losing. And he averages 8 points a game and you're going to 12 and you're like, why are we losing? And he's averaging 8. But then you realize that he just says, we put anybody on the court to play defense and I'll score all the points and we'll win that way. Get the freak out of here, man. That's not how it works. Everybody on the court got to be willing to die to win. Everybody. Not a select few. So you remember that. The next time you want to praise Kevin Durant, remember, these are the things he says that annoy me personally. Because winning is not... His idea of winning is, let me attach myself to really great teams and players and ride their coattails. But yeah, I can look like I'm the best player on the team because I don't bring no culture. I don't bring no other mentality except I want to play, quote unquote, good basketball without having to lead and do all the other stuff, that comes, without doing the Michael Jordan thing, where you have to do it all, the Kobe thing, get rid of, the Tim Duncan thing, the Dirk Nowitzki thing. Dirk wasn't even a great defender, but I've never heard Dirk come out and say some nonsense like this, and I don't think he ever would. And no NBA players will check him because they think he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. But at the end of the day, back in the day, when guys were real and not followers and super glazed donut riders, somebody would have said, yeah, that's dumb. Did he not see when the Lakers lost to the Pistons in 2004? Or what year was that? I don't remember, but we lost to the Pistons. You think it was because they were just trying to outshoot Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal? Heck no, man. Wasn't nobody anywhere near as good as Kobe Bryant on that court scoring. Or Shaq. They put the pause on us, man. Now, I know that's a rare occurrence and it doesn't happen every year. But the teams that put the pause on you, they're hard to beat. Very hard to beat. And it's part of it is psychological. You don't even want to play them because you know they're going to put the pause on you. You want to be free. You want to be a free spirit. Go out there untouched, unbothered. But they're going to touch you and they're going to bother you. They're going to get into your nether regions and your crevices. Pause. No Diddy, no Bad Boy. That was crazy. That was diabolical. No Take That. No Danny D. King. No Like Whoa Black Rob. That's winning. And that's why I get annoyed listening to Kevin Durant say some of these things that he says. With that said, guys, that is the end of the show for today. This has been a long one, but it's been fun in my opinion. It's been fun. I truly appreciate you guys for listening this long. It's a longer show, long form content. But please hang in there with me, man. Share this with other people. Trying to grow the channel. Been kind of stagnant, but we're just going to put our faith in something bigger than us and continue with the work. And hopefully people will check it out and begin to enjoy it. And again, I'm playing around with different ideas, man. At some point, I think I'm just going to try to show my face because I feel like that'll get more engagement, and you guys will actually be able to see me as I'm going on some of these rants and talking about these guys. And, I'm just keeping it real as I can possibly keep it. And I'm trying not to be disrespectful. I know I went in on Kevin Durant right there, but at the end of the day, I mean, he's a great player. He's an all-time great. It's just me looking on the outside from a fan's perspective. What separates him from some of the other great players that I enjoy is I just don't like that mindset. Him bad-mouthing defense and acting like it doesn't matter. I just didn't personally like that too much. So with that said, we're gonna wrap this up. Please like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our glorious content. Make sure that you comment, because ball is life. I will definitely respond. I promise you, I will get back to you. That's what we do around here. And then lastly, hang on towards the end of this video for some other suggested videos that we know you will love. Truly appreciate you. Very thankful. Very humble. Much love.
That somehow you never get over leaving